Alright, folks, we have a Bellator pay-per-view. You don't get too many of those. I thought this was actually the first Bellator pay-per-view ever, but it turns out they actually did one a couple of years back when it was Rampage taking on King Mo. And if you thought that was a great main event, goodness, take a look at what we got here. We got Wanderlei Silva looking like Bruce Willis fell out of a tree, taking on Chael Sonnen, who looks like Danzig after he gets a haircut. Boy, this is just so WCW-esque. This is like the most ghetto, low-rent, like TNA thing Bellator could have done, and I love them for it. Alright, so the main event. It's Wanderlei Silva taking on Chael Sonnen. This is going to be a big money, rivalry fight that never happened in the UFC because both fighters, kept turning in positive drug tests. And last time we saw Chael Sonnen, he pretty much threw a fight against Tito Ortiz. And I honestly can't remember the last time we saw a Wanderlei Silva fight. It's been years and years. I know he's supposed to be at the One Rising show, but he skipped that one because, I don't know, he's probably in the jungles of Brazil doing, DTM or, what's it called? DTM? DMT? He's probably doing that in Brazil. And every time I look at this matchup, I just keep getting like shades of the old Paulo Filho, Chael Sonnen fight in WEC, where Paulo Filho was just like cracked out of his mind, like on every drug known to man. Anyway, that's pretty much the best case scenario. That's what I hope this fight devolves into. It's an absolute joke. I mean, as far as main events go, it's not, as exploitative as doing, what was it, Royce Gracie versus Ken Shamrock in the year 2016. But it's up there. I mean, this is pretty much like doing, that movie Grudge match where you had Sylvester Stallone taking on Robert De Niro. That's pretty much what this is. It's a glorified exhibition bout between two guys who are not just washed up. I mean, they're washed up and the seagulls have picked their bones clean. This is just an absolute travesty of a main event. And it's going to taint Madison Square Garden forever. And once again, Bellator, you keep lowering that bar, and I can't wait to see how this turns out. Alright, so just looking at the matchup, good lord. I think we need to take some other bets on this one. Like, who wins the fight, it really isn't important. You can have like 3 or 4 more important bets, like, will the fight actually happen? Will Wanderlei, actually know what city he's in during the fight? How long before, the drug tests come back positive for both guys? These are all great prop bets if you're out in Vegas, trying to make a little bit of extra scratch on the weekend. But just knowing what we do about these guys, good lord, I can't believe this is the main event. Chael Sonnen looked really, really rusty against Tito Ortiz, like his first fight in 3 or 4 years. Wanderlei Silva hasn't fought since 2014, 2013, so the ring rust on him is even worse. I don't know. I think something really freaky and fruity is going to happen. Some total just fluky thing. Like, when you usually do an MMA predictions, you say, oh, well, I'm predicting a knockout or a TKO or a submission in the second. I don't think this fight, if it does happen, I'm actually leaning more towards that Wanderlei Silva just gets cracked out again, doesn't find Madison Square Garden, or Chael Sonnen breaks his tibia, on Friday before. The odds of this fight actually happening, I'm going to say, are about 80%. In the off chance it actually does come to fruition, man, I just don't see this thing ending in anything other than disqualification. That's right, not a TKO, not a KO, not a submission, a DQ. Because both these guys are just showmen and they have nothing to prove and they're just here for the money. And I think Wanderlei Silva, he's crazy. I mean, look at those eyes. I mean, this guy, he might try to actually bite Chael Sonnen's testicles in this fight. I would not be surprised if that happens. That seems likely. And Chael Sonnen, he might try to do something dangerous too. He might try to, I don't know, try to actually strangle Wanderlei, like blatantly strangle him Michael Myers style on the canvas. That wouldn't surprise me. So yeah, nobody's going to win this fight. Even if it does come down to a submission or KO, it's going to be overturned because both these guys are just swimming in drugs. And it's a huge black eye for the sport, and I, for one, am eternally grateful. Thank you, Bellator, for giving us this. Well, anyway, speaking of great matchups, here's a matchup that, I don't think is as shameless. I mean, it's certainly not, Kimbo Slice taking on Dada 5000 kind of levels of slummy exploitation. But it's close. Fedor Emelianenko, probably the greatest heavyweight fighter of all time. Clearly, he has lost a lot of his step over the last couple of years. He hasn't really been the same since he got tapped by Fabricio Verdum. He's lost a lot of his luster. And Matt Mitrione, I think he's one of those guys where we tend to kind of underrate him. Now, I'm not saying he could beat Cain Velasquez. He's not going to do that. He's not going to be able to go in there and beat, Stipe Miocic. But if you throw him in there with, I'm going to say about 50% of the UFC heavyweight roster today, he could probably at least take him to a decision victory. So even though he's not as storied a fighter as Fedor, he's certainly younger, he's fresher, he has more knockout power. Fedor doesn't have knockout power anymore. That's long gone. But he still has the submission skills, and, he's a tough dude. Saw that fight against Maldonado, who's in Russia, where all the crooked refs and Putin dialed in a favor and got him a decision win there. I think Fedor, I think he's going to get knocked out. I think Mitrione's going to go in there and just, pound him and just make an example of him. It's going to be very similar to the Antonio Silva-Fedor fight from Strikeforce, except it doesn't come with a stoppage. It's just Mitrione going in there. I think he's going to plug Fedor once. He's going to get him on the ground, and he's going to be able to finish him, but he's going to keep him pretty much devoid of any sort of offensive attack whatsoever. I'm going to go with Mitrione to win this one by unanimous decision. Not just unanimous decision. I'm thinking probably like a 30-26 kind of thing, or even like a 30-25. Fedor's going to get up, turtling up. It's going to be bad. And hopefully it's his last fight. I mean, he's had a wonderful career. We all love him. It'd be great if he has an amazing, miraculous comeback victory here, but it's Bellator. Good things never happen to Bellator. Oh, and what do we have here? Is this actually a fight that looks legitimate? That has people who are not, available for AARP membership? It is. Lawrence Larkin taking on Douglas Lima for the welterweight titles. This will probably go about 5 rounds. This should be pretty entertaining. I haven't seen a whole lot of either of these two guys. What I have seen, it's pretty impressive. I mean, they'd get destroyed in the UFC because it's just so top-loaded with talent. But, as far as what Bellator has, they're not bad, undercard fodder. Douglas Lima, they don't really do the stats here. It's kind of hard to give you a numerical decision here. But just from what I've seen so far, I'm going to go with Douglas Lima to win it. 5-round split decision. So it should be competitive, 3 rounds to 2 rounds. We'll just see. I mean, it's a real MMA fight. I don't know how to gauge it with the rest of the card, so there's that. Oh, and we have another title fight, another 5-rounder, potentially. Brent Primus taking on Michael Chandler. You know what? I think Brent Primus wins this one. I think he wins it by 3rd round TKO. Michael Chandler, he's had a pretty good run. But yeah, Primus, he wins this one. It's Primus, not Primus, like the band. I don't really have a whole lot to say about that. I wish they had the stats here so I could actually give you a little bit of mathematical data for making predictions, but just go with me on that one. Primus, 3rd round stoppage. And our curtain opener, we got Zach Freeman taking on Aaron Pico. And Aaron Pico, he's like a U.S. wrestler, and it's his first MMA fight, so they're really kind of, trying to push this guy to the moon as being like a young up-and-comer. Like the Bellator equivalent of Sage Northcutt or Mickey Gall. And Zach Freeman, he's been fighting for, a pretty good amount of time. He's got a big, stupid face. Aaron Pico looks like the little kid from Spider-Man Homecoming. Should be entertaining. But then again, it's Bellator, and everything that could possibly go wrong for Bellator will go wrong for Bellator. So I think Zach Freeman goes in there, and he submits Aaron Pico in the very first round, and he completely screws up everything they've been working for. Just because that's Bellator. So yeah, all that to say, that's Bellator NYC. They're actually calling it Bellator 180. That's actually the free on Spike TV card before that. So I guess I might as well go over there and just click on that and give you a quick overview of what's going on. If it'll load. All right, Davis versus Bader. Bellator 180. All right, so this is probably like the most legitimate looking matchup on the entire show. And weirdly enough, it's 5-rounder. They're doing 3 championship fights on the card. And none of them are in the top 2 main event. That's just insane. There's everything you need to know about this organization, how they run things. So yeah, it's Ryan Bader taking on Phil Davis. One of the best matchups 2013 has to offer. I think it'll go 5 rounds. I think Bader wins by decision. Just, once again, the worst possible thing that can happen for Bellator always happens. Just having a real snoozer with like your big hot import guy coming in and just sneaking up the joint. That's just perfect timing. All right, and I'm going to go very, 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 very quickly through the rest of the show. Just the prelims, and just the main card and prelims for Bellator 180. Chinzo Machida, not related to Lyoto Machida, I don't believe, taking on James Gallagher. Not related to Gallagher, this prop comedian. I'm going to go with Gallagher just because he's Irish, and Irish apparently have really good left hands. I think he wins by 2nd round TKO. We got Dave Marfoni taking on Nyman Gracie because we don't have enough Gracies out there. Don't really know anything about these two guys except that Marfone doesn't have a face. If you don't have a face, it's going to be hard to see your opponent, so I think Gracie wins by second round stoppage. A submission on that one. We've got the first ever intergender match in UFC or Bellator history, mainstream MMA for sure. We have this gal named Heather Hardy, who doesn't have an MMA record whatsoever, taking on who is that? I know I've seen that face before. I think this very well could be. This is actually Sage Northcutt without the spikes in his hair. Wow, that's crazy. Wow, that's a woman. No, that's not a woman. Come on, we all know better. Well, anyway, Yager's got a 4-5 MMA record. Heather Hardy doesn't have any sort of MMA records. 125. I like how they're listing what country they're from. Is that Texas? Are they listing Texas as its own country? Oh my God, I love Bellator. This place is just the best. Well, anyway, I don't know anything about either of these two fighters, so I'm going to have to make a fly-by-the-seat-of-my-pants decision. I want to go with Heather Hardy to win because, I don't know, that's like her eyebrows. Look at those. Oh, those are dangerous. She always grind them against Alice's face and get the victory there. So, yeah, second round. And, well, we already looked at that. Prelims. This will be very, very fast. Sergio Da Silva taking on Matt Rizzo in a catchweight prelim fight. I'm going to go with Matt Rizzo because he has a better record. He wins by split decision. We got Hugh McKenna taking on John Salgado. Hugh McKenna is 0-1. John Salgado is 4-7-1. God, these records are terrible. I'm going to go with Salgado because apparently he sucks less according to the stats. We got Anthony Giacchina taking on Jerome Mickle, and you can tell it's Bellator because combined they have, 4 fights professionally. I'm going to go with Mickle because it rhymes with pickle, and I like pickles. Second round stoppage by Pickle. Haim Godzilla taking on Ryan Couture. Now it's Ryan Couture, not Hein Couture. We gotta express that. Gotta make that clear as day. Of course, they want Ryan to win this one, but he never wins. He's 10-5. I'm going to go with Gozala, the Israeli gorilla, to win this one. He wins it by second round TKO. Bradley Dissar taking on Nate Greb. I have no idea who these two guys are, but I'm going to go with Dissar because of the fight experience. I'll give it to him, third round late stoppage, and we come full circle. All right, well, that is UFC, not UFC, my bad. It's Bellator 180. And Bellator NYC, the Spike Show, and the pay-per-view that no one's going to order because Bellator, they hate making money. You know, they just want to get rid of it. This is like Brewster's Million, I think. They're trying to come up with the most elaborate way possible to squander their considerable fortune and putting Chael Sonnen and Wanderlei Silva in Madison Square Garden in the year 2017 and ask people to pay for it. That is just a hell of a way to lose money. And I'll give Bellator all the credit in the world. I'm going to watch it just out of sheer schadenfreude, but stick around. We'll be here at the next legitimate MMA pay-per-view, but for the time being, we just need this for the lulz because, damn, this is some stuff right here.